started as off. I'd request that we maybe, especially, we mute our microphones so that we can have one person speaking. Thank you. So maybe just to introduce very briefly before we start the program, we have requested a total of 6 panelists who are with us today. They range from members of the founding board of Hakijamii together with Odindo Opiata. We have colleagues who worked with Odindo Opiata, and then we have representatives from communities around the country with whom Odindo Opiata worked with. And shortly, we shall be looking at various issues and questions which range around the legacy that the late Opiata left us with, but also, and more importantly, the vision that he laid down for the organization and the achievements over the years. And this we'll hear from all levels, as I've said, from Hakijamii, the institution, to the areas that Hakijamii and Odindo Opiata himself had an impact. But before that, we have family members of our founder director who are here with us. We really appreciate that you're able to join us in these and previous occasions where, as a Hakijamii, we have gathered to celebrate and to remember our founder director. So feel most welcome with us, Naman Opiata and Janet Opiata, the siblings to the late Odindo Opiata. And I believe it will be great. It is an honor that you've joined us, and it will be a great honor that before we delve into the program specifics, that we hear from members of the family before we get into the program proper. Maybe we can start with Naman Opiata and then to Janet. Karibu Naman. Janet, if you are with us. Yes, I can see you. Janet, is Naman with us?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Janet.
I'm not sure Naman is already with us, but we have Jack.
Yes.
Jack Opiata is the late Odindo's follower.
Yes.
And I think we have Fini
Opiata. Yes, I've seen Fini. Yeah.
I'm not sure Naman has joined.
Yes.
So I think we can allow Jack as to maybe say something.
Yes.
Before, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jack. Maybe you can have 3 minutes, and please share with us before we start. Jack, if you can hear us, please also put your video if you are in a good place so that we can hear you as you share with us.
Are you able to get me?
Yes, we can hear you. Are you able to switch on your video for the rest of the participants? Yeah.
Okay, just 1 second. There we go. I believe now I'm on.
Yes, we can see you.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank Hakijamii and all that organized for this 10-year anniversary in remembrance of my late brother Odindo. This is a great moment. People do say that time heals. Apparently, for some of us, time does not really heal. Today, it looked like it just happened the other day. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and hope that his legacy is going to continue. And we can see that the 10 years is a long time. If it has been continuing, I don't think that there's any problem if it continues the way it has been. So thank you very much, Hakijamii, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jack, for those words. We continue to celebrate your late brother and our icon, Opiata, and his memory and his legacy lives on. So we are with the family as we continue to celebrate and remember his memory. Janet, please.
Thank you very much. Allow me also to thank you for remembering the late Odindo, commonly known as Luo, love unto others. 10 years later, it looks like it just happened yesterday. And we all know we walked the journey with him when he was unwell. And I've been sharing with my family that when he rested, I'm one of the people who released him very fast. But for the first time today, I don't know, but I felt a bit emotional because this finds me when I'm actually in the office. But I know that is what Luo would have loved us to do. He would not have loved you to sit somewhere, lazing around or crying. So I am working even as this is going on. And we thank you so much for keeping him, for keeping his memory. We probably just need to one of these days pay a visit because I'm told there have been so many changes so that we can actually get together and know most of you. Thank you. I can see my niece is there and even my other sisters joined, my niece Vivian. We thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Janet. And for the rest of the family that has joined, please feel most welcome. You are still part of the Hakijamii family, and we really value your presence during this time when we remember and celebrate the legacy of the late Odindo Opiata. Thank you very much for the rest of the family. I believe Jack and Janet have represented you, and if you allow us now, maybe we can move on to the next item on the program. So, as I said earlier, we are going to have 6 panelists who will speak very, very briefly, very, very shortly about various issues that touch on Hakijamii. Please kindly mute your yes, mute Erickson Sunday. Mute, yes. Thank you very much. So we are going to call up 6 panelists, as I said earlier. The first we have is Dr. Mutuma Rutere, and Dr. Mutuma Rutere is part of the founding board of Hakijamii. He has gladly accepted to be here with us. He worked a lot with the late Odindo Opiata, and he will be speaking. He'll actually be the first to go, and I see that he is online. Dr. Mutuma Rutere is a respected expert on matters of human rights, policing, and security, and he has previously worked with various actors, including government, civil society, and the private sector on issues of human rights, governance, and security. And of course, you may remember that he was the UN Special Rapporteur on contemporary forms of racial discrimination and related intolerance. And currently is the Chief Executive Director at the National Crime Research Center. Karibu sana, Dr. Mutuma Rutere. Then we have with us Kerubo Okiaga. Kerubo Okiaga is also a human rights advocate. Kindly mute your mics so that we may have one speaker. Kerubo Okiaga has over 10 years working experience in national, regional, and international research, policy formulation, national and international standard setting, litigation, and human rights training. She has experience with NGOs and community-based organizations, among other organizations. She's a member of the Law Society of Kenya, and currently she's an independent consultant. Then we have Fatuma Hamis within us. She's a minority rights champion. Ms. Hamis is a dedicated community mobilizer and human rights defender. and she's a vocal advocate for marginalized groups representing the Nubian community in Kibos, Kisumu. If you are familiar with the Hakijamii, with the communities in Kisumu, and specifically the Kisumu social Odindo worked with. We have Najib Shamsan with us. She works in the land justice sector as an activist. She's an activist. He's an activist in the realm of land justice, championing and protecting land rights of vulnerable communities. Again, Hakijamii has a very strong network of communities in Mombasa, which they have worked with, and I'm sure Najib Shamsan interacted with Odindo Opiata during this period in Mombasa and in land advocacy, housing matters, and other socioeconomic rights. We have with us Mr. Ezekiel Rema. He's a veteran land and housing rights activist, and is the chairman or the president of Muungano wa Wanavijiji, which is a very strong partner for Hakijamii in the community work that we carry out. Finally, we have Nelson Ochieng with us. Nelson Ochieng is a community development leader and is the chairman of the Mukuru Vumilia CBO. He has been instrumental in addressing pressing issues of land and housing rights within Mukuru and in Nairobi generally, and very strong partner as well with Hakijamii. As you may well know, Hakijamii has this unique combination of national policy advocacy as well as very strongly rooted community-based activism and strengthening grassroots networks to empower themselves to claim economic, social, and cultural rights. And I believe that the panelists we have here, as well as the broader participants, the audience with us today, represent what Hakijamii is. And with those few words, I welcome you, the panelists. I welcome you, the participants, and the family to today's occasion. And we get into business proper. So to start us off, I will call upon Dr. Mutuma Rutere. And Dr. Mutuma Rutere, maybe you can start us off with maybe describing the contribution of the late Odindo Opiata to the legacy in the human rights advocacy and what you believe Hakijamii should focus on for the next 5-10 years based on the legacy that Odindo Opiata left us, as well as the vision that he set for the organization. Karibu sana, Daktari.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daktari, Conrad, and colleagues. It's great to see so many colleagues and friends. I hope you can hear me clearly. Am I audible, Daktari?
Yes, I can hear you, Doc.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to see so many old friends and colleagues of Opiata, including the family. It's really for me a distinct pleasure and honor to be asked to speak. Reluctant and thought that this is the time for a newer generation to speak. But Conrad persuaded me that I needed to say something as a kind of bridge between the old and the new and the younger ones. So I'll just say a few things. I think really for me, I want to say that for where I see Hakijamii is really a reflection of Opiata's life, his professional mission, but also to remember that this was not the only initiative that he was involved in. Before he started Hakijamii, he was part of Kituo cha Sheria, he was part of other initiatives. You can really trace the the story of the second liberation by also tracing his life journeys, because many of you know that he was part of the student movement. He had to go to exile and continued that struggle until the time when he rested 10 years ago. So as I said, I was thinking as Omoto, who was our first chair, said this morning in another forum that Opiata listened a lot. I was saying that probably that's what I need to do, listen, because that's what really Opiata actually did. He listened a lot. Easily, in any meeting, he was easily the smartest person, but he listened a lot. You do not realize until when he started speaking that this is the smartest person in this room. Opiata could have gone to any law firm or anywhere else in the private sector or public sector and made lots of money. But he chose to work with the poorest in the society and not work for them, but really work with them because he was careful that to point out that what he was doing is not speaking on behalf of people, not fighting on behalf of people, but being part of people's struggles. And he was careful to point out that we should not take over people's struggles or even purport that we are speaking on behalf of people. So his view of advocacy, therefore, and the role of groups such as Hakijamii was that they should just provide the platform and accompany people in their struggles. That is why Opiata really put the members of the community in the front center. I think Hakijamii is remarkable in the fact that it works very, very closely and puts the members of the community in the front center in most of the initiatives or in all its initiatives. And I think even though we are speaking 10 years later, I'm sure even where Opiata is looking down and he can be proud that the work that he started way back in 2004 in Hakijamii has continued within that tradition. So very, very briefly, I just want to say that it's very difficult to really do justice about Opiata's content. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Some participants are requesting that you raise the volume. But for me, from my side, I can hear you well. Or maybe please check everyone if your connection or the volume on your machine is okay. Sorry for the interruption. Yes. Okay, I think we interrupted Dr. Rutere and he dropped off. I'm sorry about that. I hope he'll be able to join us back. But
I am back.
Okay, okay.
I am back, Doc, but I'm actually finished. And I was just saying that I was actually on my last statement just to say that I'm very proud of the work that the team continues to do at Hakijamii, because it really embodies the very vision and the example in which that Opiata actually learned his professional life, continuing to amplify the voices of the poorest and continuing to work on the issues of economic and social rights. So thank you very much, colleagues, and I'm really, really happy that this institution has continued to grow. I think the worst betrayal and the letdown of his work would have been if this institution doesn't continue to grow. But I think we can all be very proud that we've continued in that vision. So asante sana, and thank you for asking me to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rutere. We really appreciate your presence and always great to hear from you. Thank you very much. Now, maybe because of time, I hope Dr. Rutere you'll keep with us. We'll have a brief plenary after this, and we can hear a bit more from the reactions and your responses. To Kerubo, I hope you're still online and you can hear as well. As I said, Kerubo worked with Odindo Opiata, and at the time I was also a member of staff at Hakijamii, so I'm sure she has a lot to say. But looking at the past decade or the last 10 years, what do you consider to be Hakijamii's notable impacts and how they relate with the vision that Opiata had for Hakijamii?
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. It's a
Yes,
great
we can.
pleasure to be here. I first met Opiata when I was a very young girl in 1999. My relationship with Opiata began a long time ago, even before Hakijamii had been formed. He was actually my pupil master at Kituo cha Sheria when I was training to be a lawyer myself. And therefore, every time I hear we are standing on the shoulders of giants, I really feel myself in that place, because that is exactly what we are doing. To your question around the 10 years and reflecting back on Opiata's rich history, rich contribution to Kenya, rich contribution to the region as Africa and internationally. One of the things that stood out for me the most that is Opiata had a vision, but he was also visionary. So that is my first sort of contribution back to Hakijamii in terms of testing the waters and really putting it on the litmus test. It's one thing to have a vision as an organization, but it's another to be visionary. And I think we can learn a lot from Opiata's time at Hakijamii and his previous roles, as Dr. Mutuma has very generously alluded to. The next was a long-standing commitment, and especially with those that need us the most, whether it was working with communities, whether it was working with the forgotten 20 percentile, he was present. And I really appreciate what was said in terms of his ability to listen. So I completely agree. He was a really deep listener. And I think even before the word was coined, now it's become very popular. People talk about meaningful participation. People talk about giving voice and power to those whose rights we are supposed to be championing. I think that is something that Hakijamii has been able to do very well in keeping up with that legacy, and we can only go deeper in it in terms of maintaining that presence and ability to ensure that people are meaningfully involved, especially on matters that touch on them. The other thing was around his genuine belief in the work that he was doing. Throughout my career, I've had jobs I loved. I had jobs I believed in. I had jobs where I loved the paycheck more than the work. We all know that sometimes you might find yourself in a position where you're saying, yeah, this work is meaningful. It serves multiple purposes, whether it's in your adulting, whether it's in your belief. But that's the one thing Opiata never did. He never stopped and said, I'm going to do this work because it serves me. His belief was, I'm going to do this work because it serves others. And he left a legacy of deep servant leadership that we can all learn from and take really genuine belief in the work that we are doing, real genuine belief in the people that we are serving. If you do not wake up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock to find out, is our work meaningful, then take a leaf from Opiata's life. He believed in impact. So the work was not work for the sake of work. He believed in impact. And that's something that I've seen Hakijamii grow throughout the years in terms of focusing on measurement, focusing on impact assessments, focusing on evaluations, where we can really say that contributions, whether they may be monetary from funders or contributions from the community, whether it's their time, their energy, their spaces, their bodies, it is one thing to figure out that are we making impact? And so that's something that I've really seen develop within Hakijamii, and I'm hoping that in the next 10 years, we see that move even further ahead. The last thing I'll say, and this is rather personal, when I was shifting from human rights work and moving now to philanthropy, I kept constantly in touch with Opiata. I viewed him very much as my mentor. I viewed him as my compass. And at one point, he said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing very well. Everything is fantastic." And the one question he asked me is, what have you contributed over the last year? And it was such an interesting question because, yes, you can think about it in terms of organizational contributions that we make, but the question was at an individual level, what have you contributed to? And the one thing he accused me of over the years, and I always remember, it's a little voice in my head, was intellectual laziness. He told me, "Kerubo, you're just bright, but you're very intellectually lazy. You need to work hard." So I loved that about him. He would just tell you straight to your face that if he believed in you, he would push you. And that's the one thing I keep thinking. Sometimes we get comfortable in what we are doing. And we forget that in that comfort, we can fall victim of being intellectually lazy. And in the work that we're doing as human rights advocates, as Hakijamii, we must take that step to always be to always be innovative in the work, be innovative in the solutions. My last point would be this for Hakijamii, as I think it's a testament to Opiata as well. We are working in a situation where there is shrinking space for civic organizations like Hakijamii, which means that we need now to reinvent ourselves and stop downloading from the past. Opiata showed us the way. We must map the future. But thank you again very much, Conrad. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you for everyone for this opportunity. I'll stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kerubo, for those kind words and for some of the memories, some of which I also experienced working under you and Odindo Opiata. Thank you very much. Because of time, I think we just proceed to Najib. In 5 minutes, or if you can manage less, what key reforms in the movement, where you are in the space you are, that you would attribute to Hakijamii's efforts and the work that Odindo Opiata put in the previous years? Najib, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Asante sana. In fact, even speaking about Opiata makes me very sad.
If you can manage, please put on your camera where the participants would love to see you. Yes, we can see you now. Thank you.
Even speaking, hata kutaja jina ya Opiata saizi ni kama huzuni kwangu because memory yangu inaniumiza sana. I met Opiata in an emergency level. We were at Pan Africa Hotel. During tea time, he fell down. I had to pick him up, and we were alone in that hall. That's how I met Opiata. I was attending a meeting with Kenya Land Alliance, and he was coming from Kituo Sheria. So our bonding started from that level. And all along, we traveled with Opiata with doing a lot of things. And him forming Hakijamii was on a basis of the community that needed actually his services. Opiata sana alikuwa anasema haki ya kisheria isiwe haki ya kununuliwa ama haki ya kuuzwa na mawakili. Ni haki ya kila mtu lazima aipate. So he believed the legal fees and presentation in court, everybody has to have that right. That's why he was able even to present us in different levels at the court at the court proceedings. I remember case ya Wazuri National Lands Commission, petition number 6, that we went to petition the government to make sure that Wazuri has been sworn in. He's the one who did it. I was one of the petitioners, but behind me, everything was done by Opiata, on a personal level, and also as an institution. And today we have a National Lands Commission that is working just because he believed in that and he believed in the constitution. Ya pili, Opiata alikuwa anapenda mambo ya kulocalize everything. He would localize all the pamphlets and the documents of Hakijamii in different languages, in Turkana, in Swahili. He would make that use of vitu ziwe zinakuwa translated. So he believed in that. Even the village forums that we used to have with Opiata, we never used to go to these big hotels. He would tell us, fanyeni mkutano mashinani, pikeni chakula ya kawaida, tukule chakula ya kawaida. So he believed everything in grassroots. So to me, He taught us a lot of things, communication skills. But mimi mwenyewe saizi, I can communicate, I can talk, I can petition, I can do memorandums, I can go and debate because he taught me how to communicate. Knowing language is not a big deal, but even how to communicate, the master of communication, to me, it's only Opiata who taught us that. Today in Mombasa, we file a lot of petitions at the county assembly, at the national assembly. We do memorandums because of his training, because of his passion of telling us, please be active non-violence. Do not be violent. Just be active by doing correspondence, asking questions, writing letters, do everything, but don't be violent. So be on their desks by papers, be on their desks by questioning, be on their desk in every corner, but don't fight. He did not believe in mambo demonstration, throwing stones, or abusing people, but he was very active in terms of writing. Thirdly, in Mombasa right now, anything that goes by eviction, even last week there was an eviction in Utange area, watu wanauliza Hakijamii iko wapi? And behind the word Hakijamii, it is Opiata yako wapi? Because with him, he developed for us eviction tools, and he would really respond back. On a personal level, I would sometimes receive M-Pesa in the middle of the night, saa 7 usiku. Nikiangalia ni Opiata ametumana pesa. Ni usubuhi nikimuuliza sema nilikuwa najua hujakula dina, hujakula vizuri leo. Just like that. Hakuna kazi nimemfanyia, lakini amesema tu nimejisikia leo hujakula kitu, anakutumania pesa. So mtu kama huyo utamzungumzia zaidi ya vipi? Mungu amweke mahali pa salama. Mungu amweke mahali pa salama.
Okay. Thank you, Najib. Thank you. I know it can sometimes get emotional, but it bears testimony to what kind of person Opiata was as an individual, and I believe all of us here now, you can relate with the words and the emotions that have come with Najib's sharing. Indeed, Opiata was a wonderful human being, and thank you for those wonderful words and for the memories that you've given us of Opiata, and in our own individual ways, we can all remember Opiata in the different individual ways that he impacted us. Thank you, Najib. That was very touching and also emotional, but very worthy of the memory of Opiata. Asante sana, Najib. Ezekiel, maybe now you can also have this opportunity to remember Opiata. And maybe speak briefly about how he empowered local communities and how his efforts to work with communities in turn shaped how communities fought for their rights. Ezekiel, kama kuna sisi.
Thanks a lot, the facilitator, Dr. Bosire. I also thank the board and the staff for Hakijamii for organizing this commemoration of 10 years of late Odindo Opiata. I personally, I came to know Odindo Opiata in 1998 when he started attending our meetings at Saudi Moyo, St. Joseph Catholic Church. This is the time we were facing a lot of forced eviction within the city and its environment. So during that time, Mr. Odindo Opiata was not good in Kiswahili, but through his tendency of Muungano and Vijiji meetings every Saturday at Saudi Moyo, he was able to catch up with Kiswahili, and he was able to communicate with the community leaders who used to attend in planning on how to resist evictions within the informal settlements. So as from 1998, so Odindo Opiata started helping us to draft memorandum, which we presented to the Njonjo Commission during the demand for the land reforms in Kenya. And also in 1999, he helped to draft another memorandum to Guy Commission, which was dealing with the constitutional review processes. And in 1999 also, we worked with him to present our memorandum to Ndongo Commission, which was dealing with the illegal allocation of public land. So after that, Mr. Peter left, working with the Muungano and joined Kituo cha Sheria, where now he started providing with the legal support to those people who are mostly affected by evictions and some of the people who are really arrested during demonstration when we went to the street to demand for our land and housing rights. So, for example, to my personal level, I was able to get twice support from him when he was the program officer of Kituo cha Sheria. There is a time our market was on threats of closing down because of lack of public toilets and waste management in the market. So the public health came and issued a notice of closing down the market. And after the expiry of the notice, we were arrested as officials, 3 of us, the treasurer, chairman, and the secretary. And Odindo Opiata was able to give us a lawyer who represented us in court, and we were able to win the case. The same year, in 1999 late, I also tried to resist eviction, and to resist arrest of the officers from Nairobi City County who were trying to arrest some of the traders in the market. And when I tried to resist, they arrested me and they charged me with robbery with firearms. Unfortunately, I was able to get also a lawyer from Kituo cha Sheria through the facilitation of Opiata, and I was able to win the case within 1 year. So in that process, we had also some other areas which we faced evictions, and Mr. Odindo Opiata was able to help in making sure that these people get the support of the legal from Kituo cha Sheria. So the other side, Mr. late Odindo Opiata was able to give us support in capacity training on land management and socioeconomic rights in Kenya. And we were able to get those capacities. And up to now, many of Muungano members and other community members like NPSN, Isora in Kisumu are able to participate in the policy formulation process. As from 2002, we were able to get involved in formulation of the Community Land Act, not Community Land Act, the National Land Policy Formulation Process, the Housing Policy of 2004, the Land Act of 2012, Kenya's Ram Upgrading Policy. All those policies has been well participated by the community through the support of Odindo Opiata. And after the formulation of those policies, he was able to help in simplifying those policies so that the communities can be able to read and understand about those policies. And through these workshops, which he provided for us when he formed Hakijamii in 2005, he also increased his work from Nairobi to other counties like Kisumu, Mombasa, Garissa, whereby he organized several exchanges within the community to run and share experience from their end. And it is
because of time, maybe you can make the last point.
Yeah, the last point is that I would like to say through the work of Odindo Opiata, our community members have been able to engage the government, to participate in policy formulation process, to participate in development processes. So to me, we lost a hero who was able to make us have the knowledge of knowing our rights, of creating linkages with the government. And up to now, many of the community members are able to participate without any problem. So to me, I lost a friend who was very close to me, and there is no day Mr. Odindo Opiata was being like a boss in office. He was just a simple person who was free to interact with the community members, and that's why most of the community members will never forget him, because he was not somebody who see him as somebody who is very high than other people, but he was very simple. And there is no day I saw him with a suit, just a sweater and a shirt in every meeting where we met. So he was a very polite man, honest. There is no corruption. In all his activities, he didn't want to see corruption. That's one of the better side of him, because he was somebody who was very straight and focused. And that's why Hakijamii still continue to spearhead his vision and the objective of making sure that we have an informed community in Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you, Ezekiel. Those are very profound words. And actually, you've captured a lot that what Odindo was and what he did as the leader in Hakijamii, and as an individual who was committed to social justice. Thank you very much. You've taken some time, but understandably so. Next, we have with us Fatuma, and maybe Fatuma, if you can manage it in 3-4 minutes. Now, looking at the community work now, community advocacy and all that, maybe very briefly, how can Hakijamii continue with this legacy, increasing the connection with communities and involvement in the institutional mission for Hakijamii? Briefly, and then we'll wind it up with Nelson Ochieng, then have a brief plenary, and then we close it off. Fatuma, please. Fatuma, if you are with us, it's now your chance. Ezekiel, please mute your mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you very well, Fatuma and Elea.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for the organizers of Hakijamii for commemorandum of Mr. Opiata. What I can say about Opiata, I really appreciate the work Opiata gave us as a training of TOTs, as a train on advocacy. And through the training which Mr. Opiata gave us as community, as also me personally, I really gain a lot, which I can be able also to fight for my community as one of the marginalized groups within Kisumu County. And I really appreciate the spirit of Mr. Opiata through Hakijamii, because I've seen the spirit of Opiata, still Hakijamii is still continuing with the spirit of Opiata, because when Mr. Opiata was there, he told me that, Fatuma, I will make sure that Kibos Nubian community get their right through access to land, and I will make sure that they get their title deed. So through the legacy of Opiata, I would just say that we are asking Hakijamii to continue with capacity building and training of marginalized community groups, and especially according to the Constitution on Article 4 on Bill of Rights, Chapter 4 on Bill of Rights, Article 43, and for the community to get their right. Because I think you know what happened to our community, and still we are facing some difficulties. So we are requesting Hakijamii to continue with the spirit of Mr. Opiata, and especially on the issue of land and housing policy, we are asking Hakijamii to continue with making a follow-up on issues of housing policy, especially on affordable housing, because the community still they doesn't understand what is in the policy of housing project. So we are requesting Hakijamii to continue sensitizing the community on the policies of housing. And again, secondly, we are also want the Hakijamii to strengthen the capacity of the minority groups like Nubians and other minority communities, for them still to fight for their rights. Because as now my community, still we have case in the court, we have the appeal, and we hope Hakijamii is still with us. We are asking Hakijamii to stand with us until the case of appeal is over. And also we are requesting Hakijamii also to continue with that spirit to help us to get also the compensation for the community to get their justice. And again, I'm just requesting Hakijamii to continue with the work of Mr. Opiata, because in 2012, there was a bill which was tabled by our MP, Mr. Honorable Shakil, on eviction and resettlement bill. That bill was tabled, so I think the Hakijamii should also make follow-up on that bill, because that bill is the bill which also assisted us as community on eviction, which took place on 2021 through that bill. So Hakijamii to make follow-up on that bill, so that any community which is facing the eviction, the bill can help them on that.
Okay.
And again, through the Opiata legacy, we as the community, we didn't have so many basic service deliveries through Hakijamii. In 2009, we happened to start getting the clean water through through Hakijamii, and even up to now, we are still getting services through the legacy which Mr. Opiata live within our community. And we are requesting also Hakijamii to partner with other organizations, with the like-minded organization, to assist the community on the issues which is affecting them, especially the minority groups. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Fatuma, for that. It is very clear. The work is cut out for us, Hakijamii, and together with the communities on what to do. The completion of the laws and continuing with the advocacy for community rights. Thanks a lot for that reflection. So we have next Nelson, and then we'll now start a bit of sharing after Nelson. But Nelson, looking at the community where you are and Odindo's legacy, what connection can you see, speaking from the community where you are from? Karibu.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please put on your video.
Okay.
Yes.
Am I now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you just said where I am. It seems like network is not okay.
Fatima, please mute your mic. Thank you.
Oh. Okay, brother, as you just have said that my name is Nelson Uchieng. I'm from Mukuru. I'm calling right now from Mukuru, Kwajenga. And I'm coming from one group known as Mukuru Vumilia, community-based organization. I came to know Mr. Opiata in the year 2006, when by then we were doing advocacy on a certain land which was grabbed by an India known as Premji. And when we approached Mr. Opiata, he came to our rescue, and immediately he organized for us a workshop to bring our people together. And after that, we managed to start follow up that land, which was already grabbed. And as I have already said, that it was that land was meant for a market till that land was meant for a market. And after that workshop, we managed to recover it back. And now that land, city, county are now preparing it for a market. They put a location for it around 15 million, and that was Opiata's effort. Right now, as we are now speaking, I'll not go further, because I have one of Opiata's best friend, and also is our member. We are working with him within the group. I wanted to request if he can contribute some few things, so that I can, after him, I can rewind.
No, maybe, we are getting into the plenary. I think we'll give him a chance there, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe you can just wrap up, and then we will open up. I will request members. I know we are out of time. Maybe
of time, I know that.
For the next 10 or 15 minutes, we have a brief plenary, and your colleague will speak there.
Yes.
So maybe you can just finish up, please, Nelson. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I can add on what Opiata did, the advocacy that Mukuru Vumilia is now enjoying, we get it from Mr. Opiata. And that made us, even when Mukuru kwa Jenga in the year 2021 was demolished, we rushed to Hakijamii, and Hakijamii came to our aid. Hakijamii came to our rescue, and we launched and that case is still ongoing. So I think everything that we launch will go well. We gained a lot. We gained a lot from Opiata, and we cannot take it for granted. Opiata taught us a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nelson, for those kind words, and for the memories of the work that you've done with the late Opiata. But most importantly, the Mukuru market, the way you were able to retrieve it from a legal acquisition to now a market that will serve the residents. Thank you very much. I think that was our final panelists. But before we start off, I want to request, I know that we had said we'll stop at 5 o'clock on the hour, but because of the initial delay in starting, and a bit of the sharing from the abundance of thought about the late Opiata, I request you that for the next maybe 10, at most 15 minutes, we have an open session just to respond to the comments and the words that we've heard about the late Opiata and the Hakijamii. And before we open up the floor, I'd request two people. Vivian Opiata, I see you have made some comments and had also raised your hand. Maybe, and very kind words on the comments about the late Opiata. Maybe you can start us off, and I'll also invite Odenda Lumumba to, after Vivian, to just say a few words, because I know that you worked with the Odindo Opiata for the longest time in the board and generally in the land sector. So Vivian, please. you have around 2 minutes, please. Vivian, are you able to?
I think Vivian left.
Okay.
Yeah,
I see Alseba, her hand is up. So
Yes.
yeah, you can speak before. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Odindo Opiata. Thank you, the organizers of this forum today, this evening. I would just want to say that everything that has been said about Opiata and the true are true. Mr. Najib has just made us become emotional. But I just wanted to say that one point why we would say that Opiata was a selfless person is that when he was sick, there was a plan to take him outside the country for treatment. But Opiata said no. Even when we were continuing the Harambe, he said no, and he asked everybody, if you take me for treatment outside the country, who will these doctors in Kenya be treating? What of that person who cannot afford to go outside the country? I'm not a special person to be taken outside the country. I'll be treated in Kenya. Thank you so much and be blessed, everyone.
Thank you, Alseba. I mean, very kind words that speak to who Opiata was as a person. Actually, as members of the family, I relate also with the moments I had with the Odindo Opiata, and a very wonderful human being. Thank you, Alseba. Mr. Odenda Lumumba, please, maybe 2 minutes, and then we open the floor. Nelson, you can kindly mute your mic. Mr. Odenda, if you are still with us.
Yes, I am.
Please.
Yeah, I am. Thanks a lot, Dr. Bosire, for the opportunity. I think I identify with all the comments about Odindo. It is 10 years, as everybody has said, and yet it looks just like yesterday in terms of what Opiata stood for, and especially at the time when the Gen Zs are really up and reminding us of our responsibilities. I think it is in that kind of underpinning that you get to realize what a contribution Opiata had on our society. I think ours is basically to encourage Hakijamii. Every time you do your work, please remember that there are people who are behind your being that still hold firmly with the vision and the mission of your work. Whatever you will come up with, your programs, I think it will always be prudent that we remember that we had that firm foundation upon which we build whatever we do in our society. So I think it is very important that the family is requesting that we congregate once more at the old lady's house or home or homestead. And the reason is that she has lived long enough, and she brought us in this world a colleague who really was selfless, showed us how to do what is right. And I think it is always prudent when resources allow that beyond the virtue, we go back again to the roots and commemorate Odindo at his gravesite to remember us and also to give us blessings. I think that the spirits that Opiata had in his work must be hovering in the homestead, and it's always a fountain from which we have to drink. And if we have opportunity, we need always to go there. So with that few remarks to all the colleagues and all the emotions that people have had on this, they are well deserved. And I think it is our duty that we continue in the very footsteps that the colleagues who have left us in this path of changing our society. We continue doing our best. I know that the baton has been handed over to those who have more energy, but we are still alive and always be able to remind and whisper whenever we have a time to whisper. To the family of Odindo, I think the spirit of surrendering Odindo to civil society should always be with you. And I think you remain always with us in all we do, in our thoughts as we do this, and hope that when we come to your homestead, we all will be there and we commemorate once again what Odindo stood for. On that remarks, Bosira, I return the mic if it's returnable to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Odenda, for those kind words. And also, I echo the thoughts and suggestions from the family and what you've reiterated, Mr. Odenda, that it is also time we visited the mother and also the resting place. I believe as Hakijamii, we should be able to consider that and plan around that. The Hakijamii team that is on the meeting now, as we've taken note, and definitely will reflect on that and get back to colleagues and family on what we can do. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Odenda. Your colleague Nelson maybe can have a minute to talk now. Then if you want to say something in the next 5 minutes, maybe you can put up your hands and I will see after the colleague. Nelson, mwenzako ambaye alikuwa anataka kuongea tafadhali.
Okay, afternoon everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name's Christopher Otieno. I'm very humbled and touched by this day, the mentioning of the hero, the late Mr. Odindo Opiata. We worked with him right from Kituo, and he mentored us. He's the one who really managed to understand that the people that are staying in urban slums are really the people that should be taken away from the burden and the heavens, or the teeth of the hyenas. So every time we mentioned violation, he was ready to come out, organize, do a network, and the networks were really responding, and the efforts that we were getting out of his strong network really helped us a lot. Nelson just mentioned a few, but the first project that Opiata brought back from the hands of grabbers was Mukuru Hospital, which was grabbed by the former MP, Honorable Mwende, and other grabbers. Just to add on what Nelson has mentioned. But Odindo, when he was in Kituo, really helped the Mukuru slums as a lawyer who was giving services for free. So several things in Mukuru, Korogocho, and Kibra, he really left us hanging, because right away, but I thank Hakijamii still holding hands with us, because right away we have a very rigorous case in court, which some lives were lost and properties were damaged, but Hakijamii has just taken that boldly. So I appreciate and thank you for also giving me that space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You said your name is?
Christopher Otieno.
Christopher Otieno. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. Now, I'll give a few more chances. I see Wilta Nyabate. Your hand is up, and we have also Jacob Ngumi. Let's have those two, and maybe we see how far we are with you. Wilter, 1 minute, please. Let's have each 1 minute. I see Wilter, Jacob, and then Susan. I believe we can close it there. Wilter. Wilter, if you can hear us, you can open the mic and speak.
Yes, I say we worked with Opiata since 2004 when slum upgrading started in Kibera, Soweto. Mm-hmm. So we worked with him until the project was started. And we used to have exchange visits where we can exchange from Mombasa to Kisumu. We go and meet there. We discussed housing rights, and he really helped us. Mm-hmm. Now we can stand firm advocating for our rights, for housing rights. So we keep on his momentum, the spirit of him growing. So we appreciate the family of Opiata for lending him to the community. That's my take.
All right. Thank you, Wilter. Thank you for remembering his work and how we can carry on his legacy. Jacob?
Thank you so much. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm Jacob Ngumi. I'm from Machakos County. I work with an NGO in Machakos called Young Professionals for Development. We work with Odindo Opiata in Nairobi from to 1998 up to around 2009. We used to be supporters of the NGO Council. I was a member of the NGO Council of Kenya, executive committee member, EXCOM, and also we worked in empowering the CBOs and NGOs around Machakos town on public participation on land rights, the slum areas around Machakos town, on issues of socioeconomic rights, and he was of value to us. We worked with him for almost like 10 years, and I'm happy that he had good work with us. When he rested, we supported him very nice, very anti, and we went to rest him at his own place. And Machakos County CSO Network is happy of what he did for us during that time. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Thank you for also remembering the work that you did with the late Odindo Opiata. Susan, and then we'll have very finally Beatrice from Hakijamii, then we close. So Susan and then Beatrice. Susan, if you can hear us, please, 1 minute. Susan, are you there? If not, because of time, Beatrice from... Yes, Susan, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is a very sad day for me because there are a few things I remember about the late Odindo Opiata. First, before I joined the human rights organization, I didn't know so many things, but through going to Hakijamii and meeting Opiata, we learned so many things about policy, how to write proposals, how to write reports. And I remember one time we went to meeting in Mkuru, and he picked me out of the congregation and just said, "Come and rapporteur." But he had taught us about rapporteuring, so I tried, and it became well. It came out so well. So there's nothing we can do because it really reminds us today how we went to bury him in his home in Uyoma, and it is still fresh in our hearts. We'll remember. We would be given the whole day to talk, even 2 days to talk. It is not enough, but because of time, I would have said so many things about Opiata. I learned so many things. He made me go outside the country. That took me time before I went, and he was so simple. No, that he was a director. He was mixing with us, and he loved us, and he loved everybody. If you did a mistake, he would call you and just warn you. And but next day he will forget and just keep on loving us. So may his soul rest in peace. We'll always remember him. And maybe next when we are doing commemoration again, it will not be on Zoom. We'll just go straight to his. I can say because time is not on our side.
Okay. Thank you.
Hakijamii is on, and they have not left us. Since we worked with Odindo Opiata, they are still welcoming us in the office. So when we see Hakijamii, we see Opiata. So let us continue to work for the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you for the kind words. So very finally, Beatrice from Hakijamii, a long-serving member of staff. Then tumalize. Karibu, Beatrice.
Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Kwa jina naitwa Beatrice. Lakini mimi kile nitasema, nimesema tu asante kwenyu wote kwa siku ya leo. Tukumbuke Mr. Opiata. Hayo tu.
Okay. Okay. Beatrice got a bit emotional. She's a long-serving staff member hapa Hakijamii. Amefanya kazi na Opiata the late for a long time, and yeah, it is emotional when you start remembering Opiata the person. So thank you very much. I believe we've had a good afternoon remembering and celebrating the legacy of Odindo Opiata. And from the sharings that we've had from the start of the session, they all ranged from who Opiata was as an individual, his personal attributes, his values, and how these values then consolidated into the vision of what we have now as Hakijamii, the work that Hakijamii has been able to do from its establishment in 2004, and really even from the work that Odindo Opiata did at Kituo cha Sheria before joining Hakijamii. The kind of the sharings that we've received from colleagues who worked with him, from the communities that he worked with the members of staff that he was able to work with, we thank you all. Again, this has come to us in the form of a challenge, first as Hakijamii, but also everyone on this call in everything that we are doing. Kerubo said that the late Odindo Opiata constantly challenged her. What are you doing even in the next phase that you moved after leaving Hakijamii and Kore? And the kind of challenge that we have as Hakijamii and all those who have known Opiata, the activists in the movement, the communities that work with Odindo Opiata. What now we have here is basically a challenge to move forward, to continue the struggle in memory of Odindo Opiata, for the love of Odindo Opiata, the passion that he had, and basically the motivation that he left us with. And I believe that is strength enough to make us move forward. So I would maybe now request that we bring this to a close, and I will call upon Diana. Diana is a fellow board member, and who has also worked with the Odindo Opiata over the years. Maybe to say just 2 words as a representative of the board that I chair, and also maybe to close us off with a word of prayer until the next time. But the challenge that we've been left with as Hakijamii, how do we better strengthen the work for the organization? And also we'll take it now as a challenge that resources allowing, we prepare the next commemoration and visit Uyoma to be with Mama Margaret and the rest of the family, but also to renew and continue strengthening the work and the legacy that Odindo Opiata left us with. I thank you very much for joining us, and I call upon Diana. Diana, maybe a few words, and then tafadhali tufungie na maombi.
Hamjambo wote.
Hatujambo.
Mimi nikimjua Opiata nilimjua wakati tulibomolewa Deep Sea, na tukashikana wamama 4, wengine wakaenda katika kituo cha sheria na wengine tukaenda kwa Opiata. Tulipofika pale alitushauri na akatupa tena tarehe ingine, akasema mrudi tena. Na vile mnarudi kwa kijiji, muende mshikane, muweke tofauti zenyu mbali, mshikane ndio mpigane, ndio mshinde. Na kweli Opiata alikuwa mtu wa kusikiza kwanza, ndio akushauri. Kwa hiyo yote tunaachia Mungu. Na vile alifikiria, akaona aache NGO nyuma. Akakaa chini, akafikiria ni jina gani nitapatia hii NGO. Na akaweka Hakijamii. Hakijamii inamaanisha mambo mengi. Ni haki imesimamia mtoto, haki imesimamia kijana, imesimamia mzee, imesimamia mama mlemavu, na hata yule mwenye ako na sauti ya chini, mwenye hawezi jiinua, Hakijamii itamuinua. Kwa hiyo katika miaka ambazo zinakuja, tushikilia Hakijamii, tuiinue, na itazaa matunda hapa Kenya, kwa sababu wakati huu wote mnaona vile haki zinavunjwa na vitu tumeachiwa. Hakijamii ni lazima tuikumbatie. Tunapatia maua Opiata kula alienda, na sisi wenye tumebaki tung'ang'ane, tuone tutafanya nini. Ni hayo tu. Tuombe. Baba wetu na Mungu wetu, ni jioni nyingine njema Baba, tunasema ni asante. Ni asante kwa sababu umetupenda, umetufikisha wakati huu tukiwa wazima Baba, tunasema ni asante. Tunakumbuka mwenzetu ambaye alituachia legacy ya Hakijamii, ambaye ni Opiata, akakuja huko mbinguni, ako huko mbinguni. Sisi wenye tumebaki duniani Baba, bado tunang'ang'ana. Hatujui ni siku gani ama ni wakati gani, lakini tunasema ni asante kwa sababu kazi ya mikono yako Baba haina makosa. Tunasema asante kwa Hakijamii. Maofisa wote wa Hakijamii na wale wote wanaunga Hakijamii mikono, hata board na mashirika mengine Baba, tuungane, tuinue ili Hakijamii ili ikue juu, izae matunda hapa Kenya. Watu ikue kama umbrella ya kufunika watu. Tunasema ni asante kwa jioni njema. Tunapoachana Baba, tuachane mwili na roho ziwe pamoja. Hata jamii ya Opiata Baba, na ikabidhi mikononi mwako. Bado wako na uchungu, lakini Baba wewe wape upendo, uwakumbatie na uwajulishe kwamba hiyo ndio njia. Hakuna njia nyingine ambayo tutapita. Nasema asante hata kwa wale wamepangilia hii mpangilio. Sana sana director wa Hakijamii Baba, mpe akili na umpe maarifa, na umukinge Baba, na umuonyeshe njia. Kila wakati anapotafuta njia Baba, mwelekeze. Na wale wote ambaye wanamuunga mkono, hata zile community zote ambazo anafanya nazo Baba, tumuunge mkono ndio tujue tutafika wapi. Naomba hayo machache katika jina la Yesu Kristo Mungu wetu. Amen.
Thank you very much, Diana. Asante sana. And thank you all for getting time to be with us this afternoon. I wish you well, and may you have a lovely evening. I hope to see you soon sometime. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Bye, and God bless us all.
Asante wewe Mungu.